Hi everybody, welcome back to the teaching room for the latest instalment of our lockdown lesson videos. Today's video is going to follow on from last week's video in two ways. Firstly, it's a very simple and straightforward tip, and secondly, it follows on a similar theme to last week in that last week we gave you a drill which you can practice at home, which helps you to eliminate swaying in the backswing, to maintain your center as you turn. And this one today is a similar message. So this tip has been around for a long time. It's one that Craig uses in a lot of his lessons to stop people from swaying. And the message with this one is simply that if you take a very wide stance in your swing, the wider your stance is, the lower your center of gravity is. So when you take a very wide stance, you'll feel like you're much more stable. All right? The lower your center of gravity is, you'll feel like it's harder for you to lose your balance. Now, when we take a wide stance, because we've got a much more stable base, if you sway, you'll still be able to maintain some sort of balance. And that's not the best thing, because swaying doesn't really help you when you swing. We want to get rid of that. But when you take a wide stance, you sort of be able to almost, you'll feel like you can get away with it a bit. But when we take a narrow stance, now it's the complete opposite. When we've got a narrow stance, our center of gravity is much higher, we're much more top heavy, and if I move my weight at all outside the margins of my body, so if I do this, all of a sudden my balance starts to really get wobbly. So the drill here today is that you bring your feet really close together and you have some swings. Initially you might just sort of do some sort of half speed swings, 3/4 speed, but eventually you want to build up to full speed. And the idea of this, if you put your feet close together, the only way that you'll be able to swing in balance with this stance is that if you really keep your center very stable. Any movement away, and I'm going to lose my balance and fall over. This drill really exposes any sort of unwanted lateral movement in the swing. And a lot of people, when we give them this drill and they hit balls on the range, they find they hit the ball so well, they often say to us, gee, I might just go and play like this during the round. And often we say to those people, okay, well, why don't you just have a little bit of a little bit more stance width rather than close together. And often they go and play like this and hit the ball quite well. Next week I'll talk a little bit more about stance width as a flow on to this video today. But today, all I want you to do is to have your feet almost right together like this. And we just go and do some swings where you keep your feet close together. And obviously I've done this a lot of times, so I'm fairly decent at it. But if you go back and you have any hip movement at all away from the ball, you're going to lose your balance. And that's the idea of the drill. So feet together and just go back and forth. And if you can practice this and go at it at full speed, alright, this is a really, really good drill to teach you how to stay centered in your swing, to eliminate the sway. Alright, that's all I've got today. I'll be back next week with another video, as I said, on a similar theme. We're going to talk about stance width and how that can affect you and what might be best for you versus somebody else. See you next week.